So if you've been following my videos, you probably have seen the bracket that I was temporarily using with my nitrous arming switch. So today I decided that that was a horrible thing and it was always temporary, like I said. So I decided that I needed a new one. I went online looking for, I don't know, maybe just options of like racing buttons that you can use for different purposes. And I needed two things. I needed an arming switch for my nitro system, which is an on and on, so it's on all the time, but you're just changing the type of functionality. In my case, one side was going to be the horn, and the other one is going to be the actual arming of the solenoids of the nitrous. So I decided that I was gonna build my own because after looking into some options, some of the brackets were very simple, but they will cost like, I don't know, maybe $70 USD dollars. And even though I respect the time people spend on designing and doing things, just like I'm doing right now, I decided that it was easier, not easier, but it was better for me just to do it myself and maybe use some scrap metal that I had, laying around. So what I have in my hands is actually a heel protection for a rear set out of my 2005 ZX-10R Kawasaki. So I no longer have the bike, but I remember changing the rear set at some point, so I decided just to use this as a starter, and then just by eye you can tell that I'm not making any measurements, but I know it's gonna fit, and I'm just by eye, just with my Dremel, just making some cuts and try to turn it into something that I can use without affecting the bike. So essentially, I want to get rid of the other one, which was way too exposed at the top of the handlebar, and I wanted to build my own very minimalistic look, where I have the bracket close to my thumb on my left hand, and this is how it started. Cool. So if you can just enjoy this video, I completely understand how this potentially is not and not everybody's gonna be using this for this purpose, but chances are you have maybe a necessity of having a switch added to your bike, and maybe you're looking for a perfect place to add it. This is just an opportunity to see how you can make something very simple in pretty easy options that you can find. Cool. So hopefully you enjoy. So at this point, I have the bracket already cut, and what I'm looking for is with the arming switch to make sure that I can find the center where the toggle part of the switch is. If you can tell on the top side of the bracket, I have the purge button already assembled, or that's not the one I have on the bike, but I have multiple ones, so I'm using the same one just to mock it up. And so I'm now kind of like taking some eye measurements just so I can find the metal, and then just go to the next step, which is just trying to find with a drill, just make a hole in the metal so I can expose that part of the toggle, and I can have the threads going through the bracket so I can put that knot and secure the button. So that's how I'm kind of like doing a punch, and then just like pretty much just marking the center. I know it's a little bit odd that I'm actually using a cut-off wheel just to kind of like give some of the shape, but um, pretty much I was actually cutting some sections that I was not using this for grinding. I guess somewhat I was using it for grinding, but for the most part I was actually cutting some of the areas where there was some, you know, metal like really uneven. And then after that I followed with, you know, more of a sandpaper type of approach, and then I just made it like super smooth. You can see it next. Alright, let's paint this bracket. Coat number 2. Alright, so I'm going to test the system right now, but before I test that the buttons are working, I'm just gonna remove the bottle because I have to test the horn. And so here's the bottle. So I just have to make sure that the bottle is not installed, make sure that I'm not going to be accidentally just inserting or injecting any like nitrous on the system. So just now give it a try, make sure that everything is hooked up together, because I always forget how those cables go. Okay, so that position is the nitrous, so you can hear the solenoid, and then this is the horn. So that's perfect. So now it's horn. All right, so this is the final result. As I mentioned before, this is not something that will easily translate to any of your bikes, because none of your bikes are nitrous, but maybe you have the need of, you know, having additional buttons and you need a bracket for it, just so you don't have it exposed in a weird place, like I did before. So now I want to say, you know, it blends in. Just jokingly, I just added a super small motorcycle that I found on my stick it or whatever maker, and just to know that that's where the nitrous is going to be armed, and this is where the horn is going to be on whenever I decided to, you know, use my horn when I'm commuting versus when I'm racing and I need to use my nitrous. And then my purge, it doesn't need a label. I know exactly what it is. So I mean, if you see from the back, it actually blends in pretty well. One thing I wanted to show is that I still have clearance, and you can tell that it's not touching. So I have, you know, decent clearance, about half an inch, so I'm not concerned about that. So pretty much what I wanted is just to walk you by the possibilities. So let me, to put it in perspective, I wanted to do this for a while. I wanted to have my own bracket, and I went to Lowe's and Home Depot and a couple places like that, just looking for something that I can repurpose. That of course was not going to be for the bike on Lowe's, but and I couldn't find anything. So I then decided to look for pieces of metal that I had laying around to see something that I can easily like just cut, and I was not going to use, and I can just cut and do whatever. And I ended up like finding that I have a rear set, or the protection, your heel protector on a rear set from my 05 ZX-10R, my Kawasaki. So yeah, I repurposed that and ended up looking kind of cool. So I think it looks great because now it blends with everything else on my handlebar. It's not protruding or being exposed at the top like it was before, and so I'm glad that I can finally call that done for now, and I'm not going to be making any more changes. So if in the future I have to change any of the buttons or whatever, I have options. I can make holes bigger, I can do whatever, doesn't matter. So that just goes to say, even though your bike is not nitrous, you can always look for opportunities where you can build it yourself. I went online to a couple race shops and looking for specific like buttons, like a single action button, like doing like a on-off, on-on arming button like I have on my nitrous. And I found myself looking at like buttons or even brackets that would cost me $70. And I'm not saying there's no like people who put thought into something they want to sell, it's worth the money. I'm just saying, like $70 for something that I made out of nothing, or like scrap metal, for me, I think it's worth, you know, pursuing it and spending a couple hours just like, you know, getting the satisfaction of doing it yourself. So yeah, hopefully you enjoy it. If you have any ideas like that you want to share with me, that'll be cool. So I can learn a little bit more about, you know, some of the skills you guys have and some of the stuff you've done in the past, you know, using repurposing like materials you have laying around in your house to put it into good use for a motorcycle. So thank you. I hope you like the video.